4 doors, estate style, possible roof rails, even a possible roof box, and 2 bicycles at the rear. Welcome to hell for every purist sports car fan of Porsche. And welcome to heaven for every electric vehicle Porsche fan who wants to have the most practical version. This is the all-new Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. So what is it? A pure nightmare for the brand? Or is it the wet dream for every EV fan who wants to drive a practical Porsche? Let's find out. It is clear that this is a very controversial model, but in the front it looks actually quite the same, just like the normal Porsche Taycan, with the headlamps that come in standard LED, optional or standard with the higher trim models in adaptive LEDs, and also with the matrix LED as a further option. The Turbo S, of course, will feature most of the optional features. But then the side profile is really striking, of course. First of all, it receives a crossover look, here with the black claddings at the wheel arches. And then with an off-road package, you can get additional off-road flaps that stress the off-road look and even serve as a protection. The Taycan Cross Turismo stands 3 centimeters or approximately an inch higher than the standard Taycan, and with the off-road driving mode, the air suspension, standard air suspension, 3 chambers, it can even lift further 3 centimeters or an inch up to give you even more ground clearance. So soft off-roading will indeed be possible then with this one. The look, of course, because the car stands higher, is really different. See the wheel arches either in this matte look or in this high gloss black look available, and of course the rear roof shape rather straight, not with the falling roofline, but still they kept the strong shoulder design. And the rear, once again, the light strip that goes all the way over the vehicle, unless the look is not blocked by these 2 e-bikes that are indeed specifically developed for Porsche and are also available for purchase. The rear bike carrier can, by the way, even carry up to 3 bicycles. So what do you think here about the exterior? Does it fit to a Porsche at all? Do you think this crossover look works? I mean, we've seen it with the SUVs, of course, and when Porsche was launching SUVs, everyone was first saying like, oh my god, a Porsche SUV, it's not possible, don't do that. Well, then came the Porsche EVs. They are also quite successful now and people love them. Well, and now the crossover EV, something new definitely. So is it totally against your understanding of what Porsche is, or do you think it's a great step forward? On the interior you get the standard Taycan interior, 16.8-inch digital instruments on the left, 10.9-inch infotainment on the right. With the off-road package, the Sports Chrono package is, so to say, changed to a compass. You have an analog compass in the central part. That's a quite interesting feature for sure. Other than that, in the front it's not too different. You can also get the animal-free interiors, however it's not standard unless you go for the Turbo S. In the Turbo S, the animal-free interior with the so-called race text material is indeed standard because it's not only the most sustainable but also the sportiest option. The rear headroom is of course different then. You gain about 5 centimeters or 2 inches. This will ensure better seating comfort or headroom comfort for the rear passengers. As for your feet, there are once again these so-called foot garages, so space that were left out in the underfloor battery, so you can put your feet then properly under the front seat. And the trunk is 40 liters more in the normal setup, so here at 450 liters, up to a size of 1200 liters when the seats are folded. That means 15 to 42 cubic feet. Of course, the biggest advantage is that you have more height, especially in the rear area of the trunk. As for the battery, you only get the bigger one, 93 kilowatt hours battery as standard for the Cross Turismo, whereas the normal Taycan can also get a smaller one. 93 kilowatt hours gross, by the way, and 84 kilowatt hours net. That means a range in summertime about 400 kilometers or 250 miles. As for the powertrains or power figures, you will have 4 versions. They always come with all-wheel drive, no rear-wheel drive version for the Cross Turismo. That's the same what they also do with the Panamera, for example. So you will have the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo 4, the 4S, the Turbo and the Turbo S. The 4 and the 4S, at the rear, by the way, they have a little smaller electric motor, whereas the Turbo and the Turbo S have a little bigger electric motor at the rear. That's the hardware difference. And then between Turbo and Turbo S, or 4 and 4S, there's just a horsepower tune difference. Acceleration figures will be just the same as with the Taycan sedan, will be around 4 seconds for the 4 and the 4S, and around 3 seconds for the Turbo and the Turbo S. Recharging, once again, 11 kilowatt AC, optional, sadly it's an option, 22 kilowatt AC, and DC charging up to a peak of 270 kilowatt. In our test with the Taycan Turbo S sedan, we recently scored around 240 kilowatt, so that's actually quite impressive already. Even more impressive that the fastest way to charge the Taycan is to use the recuperation. If you go full speed and then lift your foot off the throttle, it can recuperate up to 290 kilowatt by brake recuperation. That is of course pretty impressive. Once again enabled due to the 2 electric motors, one in the front, one in the rear. And at the rear you also have a 2-speed transmission, so there you have more efficiency and more performance, especially at higher speeds. Yeah, that's again a thing for the Germans, I know, for our German Autobahn. So this is our quick overview of the all-new Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. For sure, daring and very interesting concept. Let's discuss this one here further in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, as soon as possible, we'll give you a detailed, hands-on and also driving review here on our channel. See you soon.